Hello and welcome back to another Edexcel iGCSE paper. This time we're looking at the May 2019 R paper. So slightly different. This is the regional paper which is done in different time zones to the UK. So if, for example, you're in the Middle East and you're 3 hours ahead of the UK, you will take the regional paper so that you don't have to take the paper in the afternoon. If this paper was due to be taken at 1 p.m. in the UK, then if we were 3 hours ahead, it would be 4 p.m. by the time you took it in the Middle East, which would be far too late to take an exam. So instead, you do the regional paper. The regional paper is worth just as much marks as the standard paper. The questions are very, very similar, but with slight twists. So it's worth going through this paper. This is a very long video. I've time-stamped it in the description below. I've also linked this paper so you can try it out yourself. So let's jump in and try the first question. So question number 1, here is Kiki again, similar to standard paper, similar case study. And our first question there is Kiki has bought a smartphone. The smartphone turns itself off when it is dropped. Describe how the smartphone does this. So for this question, as in the standard paper, you're looking at sensors to do this, and you need to describe the sensors used in the smartphone. So for my answer here, I put that smartphone processes data sent from the sensor or accelerometer. The accelerometer is in every phone, and it's what allows you to navigate using your phone. It's the sensor that checks where it is exactly and its position. And so the accelerometer has told it that it's been dropped, that's in a different position, so it allows it to know, the phone to know when it's been dropped, and therefore switch itself off to prevent further damage. Question B. We've seen this sort of question before. Smartphones can be connected using wired or wireless methods. There are 2 disadvantages to Kiki of using a wired method to connect to the smartphone. So you're looking at things like with the wired method, trip hazard, the cost of it. Those are disadvantage of wired methods. So for my answer here, but the cost of cables means it's more expensive than a wireless connection. And there's 2 for number 2. There's actually 2 there. So I've put you cannot easily move around. That would be 1 mark. Less portability. And there are health and safety issues from tripping over cables. So any one of those give you an extra mark. That's 2 marks. Number 2, give 2 disadvantages to Kiki over using a wireless method to connect to the smartphone. So for here, you're looking at typical questions for wireless network, disadvantages of it. When you've got a low signal, you're out of range of your router, you're going to get a small signal. If you've got a lot of people using it, you're going to get lower bandwidth. You've also got less security. So for my answer, I put smartphone can go out of range, a wireless network meaning a slower connection. Number 2, interference caused by radio signals, air conditioning signals, TV signals, etc. They all make the connection slower. You could also have, it's less secure. It does increase demand on the battery life as well. Question C. The smartphone uses an SD card. Which one of these does an SD card provide? Now, an SD card stands for Secure Digital, and it's what you use in your camera, different devices, in cameras that you use in the car, dash cams, etc. And the answer to this is C. It only provides storage. That's the only answer to that. Question D. Smartphone is an example of a converged device. State what is meant by the term convergence. Convergence is when you combine technologies into one device, and you can think of your smartphone. In there you've got your GPS, you've got your video, you can make a video, you can make a phone call, and you can do many other things with it. You can play games. It is an example, a classic example of convergence. Technologies combined into one. Question E. Smartphone has a 4 GHz CPU. describe how the speed of the processor is measured. CPU is central processing unit, and it is measured in hertz cycles per second. So really simply, the processor speed is measured in cycles per second, which is the number of instructions carried out by the processor every second. So for example, if you've got a 4 gigahertz processor, that is 4 billion instructions per second. Question F. Smartphone uses utility software. State 2 uses for utility software. Utility software mustn't be mixed up with system software, which is the operating system, or application software, which is Word, for example. Utility software is doing something technical to the device, like repairing files, like compression, defragmentation. So just put a list here of as many as I can, and they're all worth 1 mark each. So here you can see a list of possible answers for that, and they're all worth 1 mark each. You should not write as much as this for the question. You just need to pick 2 of these, and you can read that list there. So even things like updates, it can update the software, so you know when your phone needs an update. Utility software will manage that for you. Question G. Explain one drawback of using solid-state storage. Solid-state storage means it does not have a moving disk, unlike magnetic storage, which has a revolving disk, revolving at something like 7,200 RPM. With solid state, you don't have that. So the advantages are you don't get the noise from the moving disk. It's faster because it doesn't need to start up and get up to speed to 7,200 RPM. But the drawbacks are that because it is a newer technology, it's more expensive to manufacture. The price is higher. So disadvantages are that it's more expensive per unit of storage, and therefore it's providing less storage per unit cost. Now this one I've written quite a lot, and there's more than 2 marks worth there, but basically solid state storage are more expensive per unit of storage. That would be 2 marks. So you get 1 mark for solid state storage are more expensive. That would be 1 mark per unit of storage, 2 marks. So therefore provide less space per unit cost. Less space, 1 mark per unit cost, 2 marks there. So there's enough there for two possible answers. Question H. Kiki smartphone uses an operating system. Which one of these describes an operating system? The answer to this is C. It manages memory and resources. It doesn't do anything else. It is not more secure than application software. It's not controlled by software, because it is software, and it doesn't provide open source code unless using something like Linux. But that's not what the question is referring to. The answer here is C. It manages memory and resources. Question I. Kiki watches broadcast television. Draw a diagram to show how Kiki's television can receive a television broadcast. Label each component and the connectivity used in your diagram. So to answer this question, we need to be providing 4 things, which I'll go through now. So here's your 4 marks that I've drawn out here. You need to have a TV transmitter, 1 mark. You need to have analog signals, radio waves. It's another mark. You need to have an antenna connected to the TV to pick up those radio waves. And then we've got the TV here. So for 4 marks, I've correctly identified the connectivity. So this is the answer to that question there. Question J. Describe how interference could affect Kiki's experience of watching broadcast television, 2 marks. For this, you need to write things like electromagnetic signals from other sources are going to affect that, which can cause the signal to be downgraded, degraded, and reduce the quality of the sound. So here's the answer. Signals from other devices, such as electromagnetic, can cause the signal quality to be degraded, which leads to a reduction in the quality. These electromagnetic signals come from everything from GPS signals, from signals in the home that you might have, things that affect it, low frequency. For example, if a motorbike pulls up outside with a low frequency exhaust, you can hear it. That can affect the signal as well. Aeroplanes can also affect the signal. So these electromagnetic signals can reduce the quality, leading to reduction in quality, leading to poorer sound. And that concludes question 1, and that is 21 marks in total. Question 2. Zara uses a tablet computer to watch TV online. Describe the function of a gateway. A gateway is connecting two networks. Think of it like a gate, just like a gate. It's a connection between two networks. So here's my answer. A gateway connects two networks, for example, a LAN, a local area network that you might have in school, connecting you to the WAN, the wide area network. And the example of a WAN is connecting you to the internet. 2b. State 2 drawbacks to Zara of watching online TV. Well, as you know, when you watch online TV, you can get a bit of buffering, where you've got a bit of lag there, it slows down, it can restrict the quality. If you've got poor bandwidth, if there's a few of you using the bandwidth, that's going to affect the quality of it. It does require an internet connection. Some content may be restricted in your country. So here's my answer. The content may buffer due to low bandwidth. It requires an internet connection. 2c. Zara sees the page shown in figure 1. So here we've got PayPal login, internet browser. Now, I've seen some students actually fill this stuff in, but don't do that, okay? It's not what it's asked you to do. You just need to look down and answer the question. And for 4 marks, I need to describe how this page is a risk to Zara. So there's loads of things we can pick out here. You can probably see some of them yourself there. Does that look right? User paypal.com, login run. Does that look correct? Doesn't look correct to me. Okay, so the URL, technical term, the URL isn't correct. It's missing the S there. So we haven't got HTTPS, so we know that that isn't right. If we look at other things here, we can see it's asking Zara to enter the email address. So the URL is missing the HTTPS. It isn't secure. This is suspicious. User paypal.com. It's normally paypal.com, so that's suspicious. So what it wants is, this is an example of farming, PH farming. It is not phishing. It's not an email. It's farming. It's a redirect. The user's been redirected to this site and it wants them to enter their email address and password to basically do crimes, to steal money. So to answer this question, describe how this page is a risk to Zara. So here's the answer. The page is an example of what's called farming. The URL looks suspicious and is not secure. It doesn't have an S in the HTTP, meaning it's not secure. The site's been created to look genuine, to trick Zara into entering personal details. Without going into too much detail there, that's all that's needed. These people just want her personal details, her email address for her PayPal account and her password. Question D. Give 2 drawbacks to Zara of connecting a tablet computer to a television. Now, to answer this question, we're looking at things like, it's going to drain the battery. So it's going to drain the battery of a tablet computer, connecting it to the television. So it's going to drain the battery more quickly. Can lead to buffering, some delay, reduces the bandwidth. What you shouldn't write is interference here. According to the examiner report, interference is not enough to award the mark for lag. So not to use generic terms like interference. So here's my answer. This can drain the battery as more of the tablet's power is used. 1 mark. This can reduce the bandwidth available to other devices. So if she's doing this, you've got other people in her house, she might not be too popular because she's reducing the bandwidth, meaning everyone else's internet is going to be a lot slower. E. Zara uses a PIN to unlock her tablet computer. Describe how a PIN system works. PIN is personal identity number, and you need to be able to describe how it works. So the PIN number is entered. It is compared against the stored PIN, the set PIN, and if a match is made, if it's the correct PIN, then access is granted, otherwise it isn't. A little exam tip here. For this question, what some people did apparently in May 2019 was answer this question. They describe what a PIN is, so it's a unique number for an individual. That's not what the question is asking you to do. It wants to know how it works. So the PIN number is entered and compared against the correct PIN. If there is a match, then access is granted, otherwise it isn't. Question 2F. Explain one disadvantage of using hosted applications. Hosted applications are online, cloud-based applications, and what cloud means is someone else's server. So using someone else's server, there are applications on there. And the advantages of that are you get the most up-to-date software, you can use it anywhere you've got internet connection. That's also a disadvantage. You need an internet connection. If you haven't got that internet connection, you can't use the hosted applications. So here's my answer. Hosted applications require an internet connection, without which you cannot use them. Application could lag because of low bandwidth. So I've got 2 there. You need to pick 1. You only need 1. Let's look at question G. And this is the last question of question 2. Explain one disadvantage of using locally installed applications. Locally installed means it's stored on your computer or your device. And so if you're doing that, you're going to use the computer's storage. Let's just use storage, not memory. We use the word storage. So it's restricting, it's lowering the amount of storage you've got available. So if you're trying to take pictures, you've got less storage because you've got locally installed applications. So you can see my answers here. Using locally installed application uses storage on the device, therefore lowers the amount of storage left over for other things. Second possible response you could have, again 2 marks, the applications are not updated regularly because the users have to do it. Using hosted applications, you're always getting the latest application. That concludes question 2, and that is now 17 marks. Question 3. Ruan uses a smartwatch when he exercises. A. The smartwatch can be connected to a wireless health monitor. Which one of these is a type of wireless connectivity? It is Bluetooth. The others, as far as I'm aware, all use cable. Question B. The health monitor uses Wi-Fi Direct to transfer data to the smartwatch. Speed is not a concern. Explain why Wi-Fi Direct is a better choice than infrared for this transfer. Now, according to the examiner report, a lot of people couldn't answer this question. Maybe they didn't really understand what Wi-Fi Direct is. Wi-Fi Direct is a simple peer-to-peer sharing, peer-to-peer network, just simply connecting the Wi-Fi to devices, peer-to-peer. So why is it a better choice than infrared? Simply because infrared needs line of sight. And if you're exercising, if you're using a health monitor, you're exercising, you're moving about, you're not always going to get that. Think about when you're trying to change the channel on the television, your little brother or sister stood in the way, you can't do it because their head's in the way, for example. It needs that line of sight. So the answer is Wi-Fi Direct does not require line of sight, unlike infrared, which is not always possible when moving about when exercising. Number 2, explain why the distance might affect the speed of transfer. Because the signal is going to get weaker the further away you get from the device. So here's my answer. Signal gets weaker as it travels over a long distance, meaning that the speed will therefore decrease. C. Some data is encrypted. Describe the purpose of encryption. Encryption is scrambling data. It's not asking you what that is though. What is the purpose of doing it? The purpose is to prevent unauthorized access to data. So simply put, encryption prevents unauthorized access to data. D. Rowan's smartwatch uses GPS. Describe how GPS works. So it works by signals from different satellites broadcast to the device. The device picks up these signals so it can calculate its location. So here's my answer to this. Signals from different satellites are sent to and received by the device so that it can calculate its location. Question E. Some social networking services use GPS data. You have 2 positive ways in which social networking services use GPS data. So this one's looking at the positives. There are obviously a lot of negatives, but there are some positives as well. Positives are that you can locate where your friends are. It can provide targeted marketing. If you're looking for some specific service, it can provide that for you. You can tag photos by location. You can locate people who are in need of assistance. So GPS allows social network services to locate the user's friends, which is a benefit. And GPS can provide local advertisements, targeted marketing of products and services that the user may need. Other things you can have it, you can locate people in need of assistance, and you can geotag posts and photos. Question F. The health monitor stores 3 kilobytes of data. Construct an expression to show how many bits there are in 3 kilobytes. Now, covered this question many times, and we looked at a pyramid. You need to remember that there are smallest amount of data you can have is a bit, 8 bits in a byte. Then from bytes, we go to kilobytes. So it may be helpful in your exam if you write this down like this. So 8 bits equals 1 byte. So it's 8 bits in a byte. 1024 bytes equals 1 kilobyte. 1024 kilobytes equals 1 megabyte, etc. It goes all the way up to terabytes, no more. So remember, we do not have to calculate this. We're just constructing an expression. You do not get a calculator in this exam, so you don't need to spend time constructing and doing a calculation in your head. So we're going to construct it like this, okay? So it's 3, because I've got 3 of them, 3 kilobytes multiplied by 1024, because 1024 bytes in a kilobyte, I've got 3 of them, multiplied by 8, which gets me to bits, and that is my expression. And you might want to put it in brackets, but that's my expression there. So just going to put that into brackets, and there are my 3 marks. 1, 2, 3. So they're looking for a line sight of 8, sight of 1024. It's not 1000, it's 1024. Sight of 3. G. Rowan purchased his smartwatch online. Describe 2 ways in which transactional data could be used during a purchase. Transactional data is data on your purchase history. When Rowan made that purchase of his smartwatch, looking at his purchase history, it's the data. So how did he pay for it? where did they buy it from, what website, etc. Okay, so the transactional data used during the purchase is, so products selected and the purchase history could be used to suggest other products or services that could be of interest to Rowan. Previous preferences and payment methods could be used to help speed up his purchase at the checkout. So that concludes question 3, and the total marks for that are 18. Question 4. Rowan searches online for local sporting events. A. Rowan evaluates the fitness for purpose of the search results. Complete this table to show how each property can positively affect the fitness for purpose of information. So looking at relevance, age and reliability. So relevance is how related is it, the search results, to the topic that he's typed in. Age is how up to date is it, how recent is the website. If it's from 20 years ago, it's not going to be particularly useful. And reliability. So information is repeatable. So you can search it on other sites and it brings up similar information. It's not conflicted. And then we know it's reliable. So here's my answer. Relevant, information is related to the topic. Age, information is up to date. And reliability, it matches other sources. So if I go and cross-check it against another website, it comes up with the same response. Number 2. Which one of these is the property of information that affects fitness for purpose? The bias, plagiarism, cost, or location? The answer here is bias. I'm not sure what bias means. It means one-sided. 3. Which one of these affects the ranking of search results? Is it keywords, copyright, accessibility, or bookmarks? The correct answer is A. How close are they as a match to the words typed in, the keywords? How close are they? So the answer is A. B. Describe how a search engine works. It's quite a big question here. It's a 4-marker. We need to provide a description. The search engine works by the user typing in the words that they want to search for, that being matched against the database, tags to the URLs and their content. That is, a comparison is made to the keywords entered, and the URLs that make the match are returned to the user. So user enters in the keywords they wish to search for. Search engine contains a database of URLs and their content. It's 1 mark there. Keywords that the user enters are compared to the database which is looking for a match. 2 marks. When a match has been found, the results are returned to user. 3 marks. There's 4 marks. So it's returning the URLs for 4 marks there. And that's how the search engine works. C. Which one of these is used as a payment method? Is it FTP, HTTP, NFC, or VPN? The correct answer is C. It is near field communication. It is a contactless payment. D. Describe how a firewall can be used to restrict access to a network. So 3 marks. Firewalls control the data traveling into and out of a network. They examine the IP addresses of the data. They check these against their list in the database of blacklisted, whitelisted, so it's allowed or not allowed addresses, and they either restrict or allow access. And that is how firewalls work. So for 3 marks, we needed to have seen IP address, we needed to have seen comparison being made, and we needed to have seen database with whitelisted, blacklisted addresses or ports. Question E, an 8 marker, so it's quite a bit to write here. Discuss how having less restricted access to networks has impacted upon society. So less restricted access means that people can access more content. So you need to look at that. And what you need to be looking at are plenty of positives and negatives. So start my response with just a simple sentence. There are positive and negatives to less restricted access to networks and society. To start with some of the positives. Positives are that there are more channels for communication, for example, social network sites and gaming sites. Different channels that people can communicate with each other. That is opened up. Knowledge can be shared more easily. Lots of forums for different things. If you're into a specific hobby, you can share knowledge about that. How-to guides on YouTube, for example. And we've also got positives that communication skills can be improved online. We can communicate better due to learning how to do it better online. You can state your point of view a bit better because you get the practice of doing it in an online scenario. You've also got wider exposure to other cultures, creating a wider view, creating more rounded individuals. So there's some of the positives. Let's look at some of the negatives now to balance out this response. So perhaps looking at some of the anonymous nature of online interactions can lead to some people being bullied. Some people hide behind anonymity to spread particularly hate messages or bully others online. And you've also got the fact that some people still have quite restricted access in certain countries, and that's leading to a digital divide. You've also got the flip side of the communication skills being improved. There are concerns that communication skills are not being developed. Young people, due to more interactions being online than in the real world, so not getting out as much and interacting with other people, they're doing it more online, which is limiting their communication skills, particularly non-verbal communication skills. And finally, there are concerns that there's a reduction in physical activity due to too much time being spent behind the screen, less time being spent outside the fresh air, leading to increase in obesity, burden on health services, etc. So that is an 8-mark question there to finish that off. And the total marks for question 4 are 21. Question 5. James teaches in a school that uses a local area network and a wide area network. State what is meant by the term wide area network. Wide area network is a network that covers a very large area. So think about a wide area network. It's something like the internet. It's a network of networks. So a network contains multiple networks connected together with gateways. So it's a network of networks. Question B. Some learners have accessibility needs. Describe one way that ICT systems can be configured to support learners with accessibility needs. 4 marks. Some answers: accessibility settings such as contrast can be set to ensure the different colours are more easily identifiable and recognisable. I just spotted my typo there. This helps people with visual needs to be able to more easily view the image, text or content on the screen. We also have things like subtitles. Some of you may view this video with subtitles on. I put the settings for subtitles on so that you can more easily understand the content if you've got specific auditory needs, auditory impairments, so you can more readily access the content. C, quite an interesting question this. Explain why roaming profiles could benefit teachers. Roaming profiles are where your profile moves with you, so you can go from computer to computer and log on. The benefits to that, because for teachers, teachers can work on different workstations and they can go anywhere and access all their files. And that is the benefit of having that roaming profile. Roaming means it moves with you, so I can log onto a different computer and access all my files. Not every school or college has that. So here's my answer to this. Teachers can work in different rooms or even different sites because the roaming profiles allow teachers to log on different computers but access the same files and resources from the server on the same network. Teachers can access a document on any computer connected to the same network, which means the files are more portable. So they can move anywhere they want in the building and still access the files, still print their stuff off, still access everything because of roaming profiles. 5D. Which one of these is the benefit of using a client-server network? Is it reduced network traffic? B, faster data transfer? C, higher bandwidth? Or D, centralized backup? You could think, well, it could be A, particularly, it could be B. Correct answer is D, because with the client-server network, you still have quite a slow network. So the only real advantage there, if you've got a slow network, is you've got that centralized backup. E, describe how the victims of cyberbullying are affected by the anonymity of offence. And because the bully is anonymous, they think they can more easily get away with it. So the bully's not easily identified and therefore cannot be held to account for their actions, what they're doing. Anonymity makes it worse because you don't know who the bully is. You cannot find a way to resolve it. So that also has psychological implications as well, because the victim's not easily able to process why that's happening, because the bully is anonymous. Not sure why that's actually happening in the first place. Question 5. James teaches in a school that uses a local area network and a wide area network. State what is meant by the term wide area network. Wide area network is a network that covers a very large area. So think about a wide area network. It's something like the internet. It's a network of networks. So a network contains multiple networks connected together with gateways. So it's a network of networks. Question B. Some learners have accessibility needs. Describe one way that ICT systems can be configured to support learners with accessibility needs. 4 marks. Some answers: accessibility settings such as contrast can be set to ensure that different colours are more easily identifiable and recognisable. I just spotted my typo there. This helps people with visual needs to be able to more easily view the image, text or content on the screen. We also have things like subtitles. Some of you may view this video with subtitles on. I put the settings for subtitles on so that you can more easily understand the content. If you've got specific auditory needs, auditory impairments, so you can more readily access the content. C, quite an interesting question this. Explain why roaming profiles could benefit teachers. Roaming profiles are where your profile moves with you, so you can go from computer to computer and log on. The benefits to that, because for teachers, teachers can work on different workstations and they can go anywhere and access all their files. And that is the benefit of having that roaming profile. Roaming means it moves with you, so I can log onto a different computer and access all my files. Not every school or college has that. So here's my answer to this. Teachers can work in different rooms or even different sites because the roaming profiles allow teachers to log on different computers but access the same files and resources from the server on the same network. Teachers can access a document on any computer connected to the same network, which means the files are more portable. So they can move anywhere they want in the building and still access the files, still print their stuff off, still access everything because of roaming profiles. 5D. Which one of these is the benefit of using a client-server network? Is it reduced network traffic? B, faster data transfer? C, higher bandwidth? Or D, centralized backup? You could think, well, it could be A, particularly it could be B. Correct answer is D, because with the client-server network, you still have quite a slow network. So the only real advantage there, if you've got a slow network, is you've got that centralized backup. E, describe how the victims of cyberbullying are affected by the anonymity of offence. And because the bully is anonymous, they think they can more easily get away with it. So the bully's not easily identified and therefore cannot be held to account for their actions, what they're doing. Anonymity makes it worse because you don't know who the bully is. You cannot find a way to resolve it. So that also has psychological implications as well, because the victim's not easily able to process why that's happening, because the bully is anonymous. Not sure why that's actually happening in the first place.